Okay, well, let's get cracking into some of the content that will help you make sense of this unit. Let's get an understanding of what and where China actually is. We say China, a whole stack of people sort of, expect what China actually is as a country. So the purpose of this particular video is to talk about this place, China. So there it is. When we're talking about China, as you can see on the screen, we're talking about a very, very large place. It's got 34 province type units. There's 23 provinces, 4 massive municipalities. You can say municipalities. Got it. Okay. 5 autonomous regions, self-governing regions, kind of like states in Australia, kind of like provinces, but if you like, countries within countries. Guangxi, and one of my apologies in this unit is going to be some very poor Chinese pronunciation. That's that idea of information not being easily accessible. Inner Mongolia, Tibet, Ningxia, Xinjiang, okay, and 2 special administrative regions, Hong Kong, which is in the news a lot, and Macau. The capital of this country, the People's Republic of China, the PRC, Communist China, is Beijing. Get your head around what's nearby. China to the north is bounded by Russia, the former Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the USSR, or simply the Soviet Union. So Russia's to the north, as in is Mongolia. To the northeast, we have Korea, North Korea, South Korea. Then we have Japan, just off the edges of that map there. We've got Japan. There is another China. There are 2 Chinas. That's going to be something in our unit. The second China is the Republic of China. So we've got the People's Republic of China, mainland China. When people talk about China, they're talking about the PRC, mainland China. And there's also the Republic of China, the ROC, also known as Taiwan. And that's located just to the north of the Philippines. So the Philippines has got significant foreign policy links to China. Important for us in this stage of the year is to be looking ahead to Vietnam. We know our end of year course at this stage in 2020 as I speak, our final external exam is going to be on the Vietnam War and Australia's involvement in it. Well, there's Vietnam. I've shaped it there. So Vietnam shares a border with China, and connected to the Vietnam War, connected to Vietnam, connected to All Hallows, where we do our immersions, is Cambodia. So hopefully you've got a sense of the part of the world we're looking in. Up until around 1911, you could actually argue a bit longer, China had been carved up into spheres of influence by Western empires. And so this map I've just put on the screen here captures this division of China, this control of Chinese territory by Western empires and westernized empires such as the Japanese. So China, at the end of the 18th century, the 19th, get it right, end of the 1800s, the 19th century, was controlled by European countries. Beijing, again locating on there for you. After World War II, there's a civil war, very important to us. And we see the expansion of communists in that dark purple area down into other parts of China over those 4 years. You can see the expansion there. And we have the creation of modern China. So the People's Republic of China, as we see in that large map there, is a result of a process by which dynastic pre-modern China was carved up by European powers at the turn of the 20th century, and then a process by which it was unified through warfare at the end of World War II. And we'll be exploring those a little bit more, but I want you to get your head around those elements. Why I've made that last little yellow block appear down there is the civil war was between communist forces led by Mao Zedong and nationalist forces. The nationalist forces were the government of China up until 1949. So the Republic of China used to be mainland China. At the end of the Civil War, nationalist forces, the government of China, retreated to an island of Chinese territory off the coast, Taiwan. And that is now, to this day, the Republic of China, the remnants of that national mainland government that existed up until 1949, actually from 1911 to 1949. Okay, so let's go back and have a look at this again. What I'm trying to get you to think about in this video is how China has been transformed by the Chinese Communist Party, which took power on October 1st, 1949. Interestingly, and it's a really great link to follow through there if you get the chance, interestingly, the demographic makeup of China has dramatically changed. In 1955, in the early days of communist rule, about 13% of Chinese population lived in the cities. Today, it's about 60.8%. Have a look at that change there. We're seeing the blue of the urban population grow over this period. The Chinese Communist government has transformed China. The China you know today is not the same China that existed in 1931 when we pick up the story of this unit. It's not the same China that existed in 1949. There's that 6-minute warning, so I'm going to try and push on for us. You can also see China's population dramatically expand. Let's have a look at a couple of other aspects of China. Life expectancy has increased dramatically in China from 1955 to the present, and infant and young children's mortality has fallen dramatically. Health standards, healthcare has certainly improved under the Chinese government. China has grown more confident in itself. China has rejected this British domination, this Western imperial domination that existed in it and influence that existed in it up until 1911. Under the Chinese communists, that's moved. And we can see that represented in a very important thing for you to know. As you're working on your assignments, as you're working in this unit, be aware that the Chinese have officially, essentially insisted to the world that we abandon the earlier forms of spelling Chinese words that were adopted in Britain and replace them with an official modern spelling closer to Chinese pronunciation. So the Wade-Gillies system, and this is Wade here himself, the Wade-Gillies system established by British diplomats, Thomas Wade, Herbert Giles, or Gillies, okay, I think it was actually said Gillies, but Wade Giles, if you like. They created a form of spelling that involved using words like Peking, Mao Zedong, Kuomintang with a K. These are words that we're going to have to be familiar with. They were replaced with the pinyin system, in which we say Beijing, Mao Zedong, Kuomintang with a G, okay, as of 1958. China is really willing in the modern world to assert itself culturally, economically, militarily, and internationally. When you are dealing with sources, be aware of that changeover. That sometimes you need to be knowing that you're actually talking about the same place, the same person, the same organisation, but the spelling has changed. It's changed from the Wade-Giles or Wade-Gillies system to the pinyin system. Okay, so just be conscious of that change. And I've got a couple of tips there on the screen of how you might like to check yourself in your research work and assignment work. A key date at this early stage that I want you to remember is 1949, the year that the Chinese communists take power, seize power at the end of the Civil War in China.